Hello friends, welcome to the next session on knowledge representation. Today we'll talk about predicate logic. In the syllabus you can see it written as predicate calculus. It's almost one and the same. Now we learned about propositional logic. What was propositional logic? Where everything was termed as true or false. The output was always either it is true or false. But there were some drawbacks to the propositional logic. It couldn't show the relationship, it couldn't show all or some and all, right? So to overcome those, we have good inputs in case of predicate logic. So let's look at it. It is an extension to propositional logic. Of course, whatever we use in propositional logic like connectives and all, we'll be using here in predicate logic also, but it is an extension to it. Predicate calculus deals with predicates which are propositions containing variables. So here we'll be using variables. Now, predicate logic is a powerful language that develops information about the objects in a more easy way and can also express the relationship between those objects. So here, not only representing the objects, but even we can represent the relationship between objects. So predicate logic assumes the world contains objects like Mihir, the name in fact, name, Mihir, numbers, house, cat, colors, etc. And relations like has color, bigger than, comes between, etc. Now there are facts. Fact is what one value for a given input. Is father of, is best friend, can swim. So facts have the truth value true or false. Like if he's a father, true. If he's the best friend, true. Right? If he can't swim, then false. So as a natural language, first order logic, even I'll be using first order as well as predicate logic interchangeably, meaning the same, also has two main in parts, that is syntax and semantics. Now, there are three kinds of symbols what are used in predicate logic. We have constants, which are objects. Then relations are called as predicate, and the functions, which can return value other than true or false. Now, predicate logic statements can be divided into two parts. As you can see it there, it has subject and the predicate, or even you can call it as object and predicate. Now, subject is the main part of the statement, and predicate can be defined as the relation which binds two atoms together in a statement. So here I have taken a simple example. Sunil was intelligent. This is a statement which I want to write in a predicate logic form. So now here the name Sunil is a pronoun and it is a subject. Intelligent is an attribute or a property or a characteristic. It gives the characteristics of the subject Sunil that he is intelligent, right? So this is called as predicate. So if you want to represent it using predicate logic, it will be presented as Sunil was intelligent. Now Sunil is a subject and intelligent is the attribute of that subject and we call it as predicate. Is it fine? So intelligent is predicate. Now the drawback here I'll tell you about predicate logic is, now if here I'm saying Sunil was intelligent, but if I say Sunil is intelligent, then also the predicate statement will be same. And if I say Sunil will be intelligent, again the predicate statement will be same. That means predicate logic does not consider the tense of a subject, whether it is in present tense or past tense or future tense. That cannot be represented using predicate logic. So was, is, will be treated same. Another simple example. Now let's consider the statement x is an integer. It consists of two parts. Now what is the first part? X. And what is x? Now x is the subject of the statement. And the second part, integer. Integer is the predicate. Like, now what is x? X is an integer. Integer is an attribute of which defines x, right? So when you write a predicate logic statement, it will be like x is an integer. So integer is the predicate and x is a subject, or even you can call it as an object. So here's more simple examples for you all to understand. Now Alka and Neelam are friends. Remember, Alka and Neelam are pronouns. Are friends is a relationship, right? So here, to write it in the predicate logic form, I'll do is Alka friends Neelam, right? So Alka and Neelam are objects and friends is a predicate. Even we call it as a relation, right? Another simple example, Shyam's brother is married to Ram's sister. Now, if you look at it carefully, what are the predicates here where the relationship is brother married, and sister. Whereas Shyam and Ram are the pronouns or the objects. So let us write down the predicates first. Predicate is what? The relationship that is brother, married, and sister. So married is our overall relationship. Shyam's brother and Ram's sister. So when you write the final predicate logic statement, it will be like Shyam's brother married Ram's sister. Is it fine? Now this is predicate, this is an object, this is predicate, this is an object, and this is your main predicate. Married is a relationship. Brother is a relationship. Sister is a relationship, and Shyam and Ram are the objects or the subjects. Is it fine? How to write simple predicate logic statements. Now syntax of first order logic. Again, it has constants, variables which are shown in a lowercase. Predicates, just now we saw brother of, father, greater than, and all. Functions, square root. Then it has all those connectives what we had in case of our propositional logic. That is conjunction, disjunction, negation, implies, bidirectional, biconditional, right? Equality. An important one, what it has is the quantifier. We'll be talking about it in detail. So it has two quantifiers, like there exist and for all. Now, what are the atomic sentences? These are formed from a predicate symbol followed by a parenthesis with a sequence of terms, right? We can represent atomic sentences as the predicate and into bracket term 1, term 2 till term n. The simple example here, Ravi and Ajay are brothers. So what is the relationship here? What is the relationship is brothers. So this is predicate. And what are the object or the subject here? Ravi and Ajay. So Ravi and Ajay. So Ravi is brother of Ajay, or Ravi and Ajay are brothers. Fine. Another example, Minnie is a cat. Minnie is the name of a cat. So we say Minnie is a cat. Cat is a relationship. Minnie is the name. Is an attribute in fact. Minnie is an attribute. Cat is an attribute of the subject Minnie. Similarly, like atomic, we have complex sentences. Now, complex sentences are made by combining atomic sentences using connectives. The same connectives what we had in our propositional logic, negation, conjunction, disjunction, implies, and biconditional. So again, a simple example here, Ram is a king or Ram is not a king. Now to represent it or write it in a predicate logic statement, what is Ram? Ram is a king, right? So Ram is a king. King is a predicate. Ram is an object of this. You can even think of as a class and object. King is a class. Ram is an object of the class. So Ram is a king, or Ram is not a king. Remember the negation here, right? So this is a complex sentence where two atomic statements are joined using a connective or. Is it clear? Now let's look at the quantifiers in the predicate logic. As I said, these are the important ones we'll be talking about. Then what the name indicates, quantify something which is countable, right? Which gives some numeric value. So here quantifier is a language element which generates quantification, and quantification specifies the quantity of specimen in the universe of discourse, right? The variable of predicates is quantified by quantifiers. Remember the variables of predicate, we have variables in lowercase as I showed you the previous table, is quantified by the quantifiers. These are the symbols that permit to determine or identify the range, remember, the range and scope of the variables in the logical expression. We have two types of quantifiers, universal quantifiers. So what they represent? For all, everyone, everything, right? Then you have existential quantifiers. They represent for some, at least one, or one of them, like. So let us look at them. Universal quantifier. So what universal quantifier is? A symbol of logical representation which specifies that the statement within its range is true for everything or every instance of a particular thing. What is important here? is true for everything or every instance of a particular thing. The universal quantifier is represented by the symbol for all, like which is an inverted, resembles an inverted A. So this is universal quantifier. This is a syntax. Universal quantifier with a variable and then a sentence. So in universal quantifier, implication is used. Remember this, in universal quantifier, you uses implies condition or connective. If x is a variable, then universal quantifier x is read as for all x, for each x, and for every x. Right? Now, simple example here, all men drink coffee. So all, remember the word all comes here. So as soon as all comes, you use this symbol, right? For all. So for all x, where x is a man, if x is a man, then x drinks coffee, right? So this is the predicate, this is the predicate, this is the subject, and these are the subjects. So how do we read there? There are all x where x is a man who drinks coffee. It's very simple. Wherever you come across the word all or everybody, just use this symbol, and this small x, as I said, is a variable. And what we said, with universal quantifier, you use implies. Like what, if you remember in propositional logic, if this is true, then this has to be true, right? So it uses the implies symbol. Next, what we have is existential quantifier. For existential quantifier, the statement within scope is true for at least one instance of something. Remember, here we are saying at least once, one instance, and here we said for every instance or for everything or for every instance, but here we are saying is true for at least one instance, right? It is denoted by the logical operator there exists, which resembles an inverted E. When it is used with a predicate variable, then it is called as existential quantifier. In existential quantifier, we always use and or conjunction, remember. Here we use conjunction, and in universal quantifier, we use implies. So if x is a variable, then existential quantifier will be there exists x, or and it will be read as there exists x for some x or for at least one x. So this symbol will have all these three meanings. So again an example here, some boys are intelligent. So whenever you are saying some, you are not saying all. So whenever you are saying some, this symbol will come here, right? X is a variable which represents boys, right? So there are some x, right, where x is a boy and that boy is intelligent. By intelligent is the predicate, boys is the predicate, and x here are the variables which indicates the subject or the object. So there are some x where x is a boy who is intelligent. I hope you all are getting it bit. Now what you should remember, the main connective for universal quantifier for all is implication. Then the main connective for existential quantifier is and, that is disclosure, disjunction. Now properties of quantifiers in universal quantifier, how you read it here, for all x and for all y is similar to all y and all x. Is it clear? In universal quantifier, all x and all y is similar to all y and all x. And in existential quantifier, some x and some y is similar to some y and some x, right? But some x and all y is not similar to all y and some x. I repeat it again. This is symbol, some x, all y is not similar to all y and some x. To take a simple example here, I have taken, like there's a person who loves everyone in the world. There's a person who loves everyone in the world. So there is a person, there's a single person. So we take it as existential quantifier here, x, right? And then who loves everyone? For everyone, what we have taken? Universal quantifier, y, right? So X is a person and Y is also a person, but he resembles everyone. So here you say loves X, loves Y. This is the relationship or the predicate, and these are the objects or the subject. Is it fine? Now the same statement, I write it other way around. I say everyone in the world is loved by at least one person. Everyone in the world is loved by at least one person. Now how do I represent it? Now everyone, then by default universal quantifier. So you have universal quantifier Y is the everyone, right? And one some X, that is one X, one person is represented by X, right? So again, how do you read it? Everyone is loved by at least one person, that is X, represented by X. That is why this is not similar. Look at this example because the meaning changes. Is it clear? Now let us look at few examples. Of course, we'll have next session only on the examples of predicate logic. Now all birds fly. Now this is a statement. You need to put it in a predicate logic statement. So what is the predicate here? Predicate is fly. Birds fly. Right? Bird fly. And since there are all birds, because we have used word all birds who fly, so it will be represented as universal quantifier X, where X is a bird. Because X is a bird, if X is a bird, then X will fly. This implies. Okay. So this the same statement is represented here using this predicate logic statement. Is it fine? All X, X is a bird. Because X is a bird, X can fly. Another example here, all graduates are unemployed. Again, all. So you are using universal quantifier with the variable X. What we say, X is a graduate, right? X is by mistake. I think it is there here. It should not be there. X is a graduate. Because X is a graduate, X is unemployed. Is it fine? Okay. So all graduates are unemployed. Similarly, now these were of the universal quantifiers. Now here someone is crying. Not all. Someone is crying. Whenever the word some comes, you use this quantifier, right? So here what you are saying, some, this is some X. So X, some X is crying. That is someone is crying. Now here, everyone likes everyone. Now this is my universal quantifier for everyone. This another universal quantifier for this everyone, right? Everyone X, everyone Y. So what is the predicate here? Likes. X likes Y. Like everyone likes everyone. I hope it is a bit clear. Now similarly here, now if you look at, not all students like both mathematics and science. Remember, not all students like both mathematics and science. So in this question, what is the predicate here? Like. X comma Y. Now what may be X? X is a student and Y is the subject. Since there are not all students, so we'll go with, so we'll, since there are not all students, so we'll use universal quantifier with negation. So following representation, let's look at it. Not all X. Remember this negation, not all X. So here you say X is a student. If X is a student, then X likes mathematics and X likes science, and overall it is negation, that is not. So not all students like mathematics and science. Is it clear? Now, there is something called free and bound variables. So in quantifiers, the quantifiers interact with variables which appear in a suitable way. There are two types of variables in the first order logic predicate. So free variables. So free variable is said to be a free variable in a formula it occurs outside the scope of the quantifier, right? It appears outside the scope of the quantifier. Now we already know two quantifiers, right? Now simple example here. For all x, sum y, this is a predicate function your x, y, z. Now z is a free variable because it is not associated with any quantifier. What is associated with quantifier is x and y. So z is a free variable. Then again we have different second type, that is bound variable. So variable is said to be bound variable in a formula if it occurs within the scope of the quantifier. If you look at here, your x and y are bound variables because they are associated with the quantifiers. Here again the same example here. For all x, x is a, because x is a, then y is b. So here x and y both are bound variables. If something which is associated with the counting variables, quantifying variables, then it is a bound variables. If it is not associated, then it is a free variable. Now, what are these predicate formulas? Now, consider a predicate P with n variables as P, x1, x2, x3 to n. Here, P is an n-place predicate and x1 to xn are n individual variables. This n-place predicate is known as atomic formula of predicate calculus. And the examples are already given. P, q into bracket x comma y, r into bracket x, y, z, where p, q, r are the predicates. We already seen the examples in the previous slides. Now there is something called well-formed formula. It is represented as WFF. It's a predicate holding any of the following. It's a predicate holding any of the following. Now what it is? All propositional constants and propositional variables are WFF. I'll not repeat again well-formed formula. I'll just use WFF. If x is a variable and y is a WFF, then for all x, y and all x, y are also WFF. Now, truth value and false values are also WFF. Each atomic formula is WFF and all connectives connecting WFFs are WFF. Right? Now, if a formula contains a variable x, then for the formula to be WFF, all occurrence of x must be bounded by the scope of either an universal quantifier or an existential quantifier. Right? Remember again, I read it again. If a formula contains a variable x, then for the formula to be a WFF, all occurrences of x must be bounded by the scope of either an universal quantifier or an existential quantifier. That means these are the bounded variables. Now, for all x, predicate of x, p of x means that all objects in the domain have attribute p, while sum of x and p of x means that at least one object in the domain has the attribute p. Each quantifier has its own scope, which is the WFF that directly follows it. Now, when there are multiple variables in the sentence, the order of quantifiers may matter. For example, now every key can open every lock. Look at the example. Every key can open every lock. So we have every key and we have every lock. So you use universal quantifier x, universal quantifier y. Now x is a key and y is a lock. Okay. All keys can open all locks. That implies all keys, all locks implies all keys can open all locks. This is the way this statement is represented. Right? It is in WFF form. Now, every key can open some lock. What was the statement here? Every key can open every lock. Here we are saying every key can open some lock. Right? So here all keys, because it is every key. Right? So X is a key implies every key can open some lock. Right? So your existential quantifier y is a lock and x can open y. That is, x can open some lock. Some is represented using this existential quantifier. Right? So every key can open some lock. I hope you are understanding bit of it. Now, the next statement, every key can open the same lock. Here it was every lock, here it was some lock, and now here we are saying every key can open the same lock. Now, same lock means the lock is only one. So here we use existential quantifier y. So there is only one lock because we are saying same lock. So y is a lock and y is of type existential quantifier. So there is some lock y. And remember, with existential quantifier, we use this disjunction, right? This symbol and symbol, right? Now for all x, what is x? X is a key. X is a key. All keys can open, all keys can open same lock, a single lock, right? Because you use this symbol, existential quantifier. I hope you all are getting it. Now, what are the operators in predicate logic? We have greater than. Either you use this symbol or you have this function less than, equal, greater than, equal to, not equal to. So this, what is given in round bracket is used as functions and these are used as operators. So when we look at the queries more further, the statements will be more clear. So I hope you all could understand something from this predicate logic. So only the advantage here is you just need to remember what can be predicate and what can be the subject. Usually subject has the attributes and these attributes are nothing but the predicates. Or in short, even you can say predicates represent the logical relationship between the subjects or the objects. So next session we'll look at the examples of representing the data in predicate logic statement. So I hope it is clear. I want you all to go through the books also and have more and more reading. Thank you. See you all in the next video.